Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the final time here at Automotodrom Brno. It is a season finale for the ESETCup series, not exactly the season finale for the Central European Formula 4. That is the last part of the program for this weekend. And we have got cars lined up on the starting grid. It's race number 3 out of 3, and we've just had a tiny little bit of an issue for the young Australian lady on the starting grid, Joanne Sikont, who was supposed to start on the front row and will do so. However, she had a little bit of a problem getting off the line, but now she joins the formation lap here. This is the last race of the entire weekend, and it's also the final race of Formula 4 for this weekend. Mind you, Formula 4 still continues with one more round in Austria at the Salzburg Ring, where the championship is going to go down to the wire, and currently it is the closest between the two teammates from Jense Motorsport. Oscar Wirtz, the son of former Formula 1 driver Alex Wirtz, who lines up on pole position for race number 3, but his teammate and local driver Max Karhan scored both victories this weekend so far. He's got a great form here on his home soil, and we can only look forward to what we are about to witness in race number 3. Cars already on the formation lap. You've just seen the order on the starting grid. So Oscar Wirtz on pole position, alongside him on the front row, Joanne Sikont. She scored a top 4 result on her debut yesterday. Great result for her. Not that much luck in the second race earlier on today, but having starting from the front row for race number 3, who knows, maybe the first podium is on the cards today. Miroslav Mikeš and Max Karhan complete a all Czech row number 2. Miroslav Mikeš was leading the race earlier on today before being tagged by Kutskov. Max Karhan in the end, he overtook Mikeš after a couple of laps, and then the incident actually unraveled behind his back. But Max Karhan scored both victories this weekend so far. Austrian driver Simon Schranz in 5th, alongside him Nathaniel Bereby in 6th place. Kirill Kutskov lines up 7th on the grid from Michalina Sabaj. Kornelia Olkucka in P9 from Marek Mičík, and František Němec completing the entire grid in 11th. Cars completing their formation lap at this 5.4 kilometer long racetrack here in South Moravia. Automotodrom Brno, Masaryk Racing Circuit, Masaryk Racing Days is now coming to its complete end. With the last 25 minutes of racing action just ahead of us. Oscar Wirtz actually started the season in dominant fashion with 2 victories in Hungary at the brand new Balaton Park. Then he repeated the same feat in Slovakia. However, since then, nothing. I mean, a couple of podiums, yes, but no further victories. And Max Karhan, in the meantime, managed to score his 4 victories, so they are actually tied for the number of wins. Not exactly for points, but should Max Karhan do well in this race, the gap could be closed right down once again. The red lights are on, the red lights are off, and we are racing for the final time here in Brno. Oscar Wirtz from pole position with Joanne Sikont from front row, and we have immediately Miroslav Mikeš coming through into 2nd. Max Karhan attacking Joanne Sikont around the outside, and also around the outside on Miroslav Mikeš. Beautiful stuff by the Czech driver. However, that was maybe a little too much, so he doesn't make that one stick, and he's coming under pressure, maybe even already from Nathaniel Bereby, who's attacking him down the inside. Max Karhan dropping back to 4th. It is his teammate Oscar Wirtz in the lead from Mikeš. Then it might be already Kirill Kutskov up to 3rd. That would have been a great start from 7th to 3rd, having not finished race number 2 earlier on today. Joanne Sikont dropping down the order from 2nd on the grid to about 6th or 7th. And we are now entering the stadium section. A lot of racing immediately. at the beginning of race number 3, with Oscar Wirtz still holding on to the race lead. The black and blue Jense Motorsport car leading us away, and already opening a bit of a healthy gap to start the race with. Miroslav Mikeš locking up into the Kevin Schwantz corner, coming under pressure from Kirill Kutskov. These two came together in race number 2 earlier on today, exiting the stadium section. So Kutskov needs to be way more careful now. And we are completing the opening lap of the race. Coming across the line, Oscar Wirtz opening up the initial gap of 0.8 seconds from Miroslav Mikeš. Kutskov in 3rd, Karhan 4th, Nathaniel Berebe in 5th. From Joanne Sikont, she dropped to 6th. Simon Schranz down in 7th. Marek Micik made up a couple of places and is now up to 8th. So has František Němec, who's now in 9th. Michalina Sabaj and Kornelia Olkucka currently closing the field in 10th and 11th. Down the hill we go with Kirill Kutskov still right on the tail of Miroslav Mikeš. Max Karhan losing touch a little bit. Not really managing the same sort of pace as the top trio. Mind you, they still need to take care of their tires. Gaps opening up a bit, as it seems to me that Mikeš is now closing in on the race leader. Definitely the Czech driver fancies a home victory. He already scored one the last time out in Most, where he won the race number 1, but hasn't followed it with another one just yet. But still 4 victories up for grabs this season. In this race, of course, and then in the final 3 in Austria. In 2 weeks' time. Joanne Sikont coming under pressure from Simon Schranz in the fight for 6th. Schranz moving down the inside. Joanne closing the door on him and not letting the Austrian driver through. Up the hill we go to the highest point of the circuit, and down the inside goes Simon Schranz to take the 6th spot off the hands of Joanne Sikont. Is she gonna retake the position back? No, unfortunately not. Kirill Kutskov, in the meantime, set the fastest lap of the race in 2:03.9, and according to the live timing screen in your graphics, he's already moved ahead of Miroslav Mikeš. So there has been a driver swap in 2nd and 3rd. So Kutskov now after Oscar Wirtz. These are the race leaders. Oscar Wirtz in 1st, Kirill Kutskov trying to make up for that messy race number 2, from which he had to retire after the contact with Miroslav Mikeš. Around the Kevin Schwantz corner we go. Dip down the hill and climbing back towards the start and finish straight. Oscar Wirtz holding on to 1st, but for how long, really? All of the gap that he managed to get is now definitely gone. back onto the start and finish straight across the line. 3 laps completed from race number 3. Now Kirill Kutskov going for it into the second corner. Late dive. They are now running close to one another. Oscar Wirtz going defensive, choosing a wise line. Fending off the first attacking attempt from Kirill Kutskov. Kirill had a little look down the inside into the right-hander. They are really using every centimetre of the track. All the width there is to play with. Around the stadium section. And out of it once again. Oscar Wirtz trying to have as clean line as possible. To preserve the tyres and still save some life in them. Sliding a lot. Look at the ESETCup car, and you may have already also noticed all the workload that Oscar Wirtz has to deal with all the corrections, all the inputs that he has to give to his steering wheel to actually keep the car in the correct trajectory. Now even dropping 2 wheels on the gravel. He's really all around the place, all over the place, and making the life harder for himself. Kirill Kutskov making a move around the outside of the first corner. Is he going to make it stick? That would be one heck of an overtake. Yes, he does. Kirill Kutskov around the outside of the first corner takes the lead of race number 3. What a move that was. Oscar Wirtz now at least trying to stay together with Kutskov, not really let him drive away. If we check the championship standings, or let's say the championship story, Kirill Kutskov scored his first victory on the opening round in Hungary at Balaton Park in race number 3 again, and then he won the middle race of the weekend in Most, so 2 victories to his name. The Mafia Racing driver. Kutskov extending his lead slightly over the previous lap. He actually did a full second. He was actually a full second faster on the previous lap, 2:04.8 compared to 2:05.8 by Oscar Wirtz. Miroslav Mikeš 2:05.3, so getting closer to Wirtz. Max Karhan nowhere near his pace from earlier on, 2:06.2. Seems that he doesn't really have the tires for it in this race. Max Karhan already losing about 5 seconds to Miroslav Mikeš. Nathaniel Berebe in 5th, 7.6 seconds behind Karhan. So the top 4 has really gone away from everybody else. Simon Schranz rather close behind Berebe in their fight for 5th. These are the race leaders: Kutskov, Wirtz, Mikeš, Karhan. And Joanne Sigont, having started on the front row, dropped to 7th by now. She's trailing Schranz by about 3 seconds. Michalina Sabaj and Kornelia Olkucka, they made it back past Marek Mičík and František Němec, the two guys that had better starts earlier on. So the order completely reversed itself once again as we just about entered the second half of the final race of the weekend. Kirill Kutskov is really trying to confirm the pace that he knows he's had all through the weekend. He fell into trouble in race number 1 yesterday, so had to play catch-up, and very nearly did. He ended up 2nd on the road behind Max Karhan. They were separated by 0.7 of a second, and then had 17-second gap over everybody else, so they were in the league of their own in race number 1. But it was Max Karhan prevailing and scoring that first victory of the weekend. Then earlier on today, Kutskov had the contact with Miroslav Mikeš, and that put him out of the race, so couldn't really show his pace yet again. But now, having started 7th, made a quick work of majority of the drivers ahead of himself, and then took them one by one all the way up to the race leader Oscar Wirtz, to be leading currently already by more than 2 seconds, and really showing a dominant performance towards the end of the race weekend. Kirill Kutskov, who lost 2nd place in the championship earlier on today to Max Karhan, is on course to retake it back, because the point difference between 1st and 4th would be enough for that. Final 10 minutes. But with that, it would still go down to the wire to the final race in Austria. Nathaniel Berebe ahead of Simon Schranz in the fight for 5th. That's currently the closest pair anywhere on the track. They are separated by less than a second. Unlike anyone else, the gaps have already opened up. But This is the fight where P5 is up for grabs. It was actually a first podium finish for Nathaniel Bereby earlier on today, as he ended up third on the road. These two drivers have been inseparable, honestly, all through the weekend pretty much. And earlier on today they were fighting together once again, and it was again Nathaniel Bereby that held on to his position. Simon Schranz didn't really find the recipe, didn't really find his way past. But that was for third, that was for a podium. This time out, it's for P5 in this race. They are also lapping very similarly to one another. Bereby 207.7, Simon Schranz 207.3, and they were already very close to one another indeed. Now there is a fight. Bereby has to defend from Schranz. Schranz sending it round the outside into the second corner. And if he manages to squeeze his car in, then he might have the following corner, which he doesn't. Bereby fending him off. So another attempt entering the stadium section. Again around the outside, good defense. Ooh, a huge lock-up for Schranz. Bereby not really letting the Austrian opponent through. Joanne Sicont set her personal best on the previous lap of 207.9, and she is now definitely getting closer to the cars ahead as they are fighting for fifth. Six minutes left on the clock. This was Oscar Wirtz, currently trailing the race leader Kirill Kutskov by 4 seconds. That's a whopping lead by the Kyrgyzstani driver up front. Miroslav Mikeš closing in from third. He was about 0.2 of a second faster on the previous lap. Karhan really not matching the pace of the leaders. Ooh, and we've got a car in trouble, and that will be Bereby. That is Nathaniel Bereby. That was the fight for P5, and he found himself spinning probably. Maybe there was a contact. We'll try to see what happened. Or was it Kornelia Olkutska? This may have actually been Kornelia Olkutska. Bereby was through across the line, so this may have been Kornelia Olkutska, who now dropped behind Marek Micik. Yeah, so it was the Polish girl. Finding herself in trouble in the final corner of the track. 4.5 minutes left. This is the fight that we were watching earlier on, with Nathaniel Bereby still holding on to fifth. Simon Schranz trying to line himself up for an overtaking attempt, for an opportunity. He's close, but not close enough. He's already had a go, which didn't really work in the end. Bereby managed to defend that one, but also Joanne Sicont getting very close indeed, together with her teammate Michalina Sabaj. This has now become a very interesting quartet of drivers fighting from 5th all the way to 8th, having really minimal gaps between each other respectively. And now this is going to be a big defensive drive, a 4-way fight. Simon Schranz having another go at the same spot like the last time. Is he gonna make it stick? Yes, he does. Yes, he is. And he's now coming through, but not really managing to hold on to that place, and he's dropping all the way down to 8th. That didn't really work out. Very nicely, he managed to stay on the inside and have the favorable line to the following corner, but something happened mid-corner. Maybe there was a slight touch, and does he have a puncture? What happened? Because he's dropped from the view right now, and we have got Nathaniel Berebe having to defend hard from Johan Sikond, who's trying to send it down the inside. They are running alongside one another. Nathaniel Berebe should be able to defend this one, but for how long? Greater exit by Johan Sikond, who's not really allowing Berebe back on track. Now she has done, but great move by the young Australian, snatching 5th off the hands of Berebe. And also Michalina Sabai involving herself in the fight, but Berebe fighting back. Beautiful scrap for 6th right now. Ooh, a little twitch from Michalina Sabai. This will have cost her a little speed in the uphill section, which is crucial. But Simon Schranz dropped down incredibly. Big lock-up by Johan Sikond. She's back up to 5th at least. So that would be another very good result for the Australian debutant. This is quite possibly the final lap of the race, with Kirill Kutskov entering the stadium section. Oscar Verds in 2nd from Miroslav Mikeš. Max Karhan already losing over 10 seconds to the podium places. Marek Michik up to 8th, Kornelia Olkutská currently 9th, and Simon Schranz, we do not have him in the pit lane. He hasn't really completed the previous lap just yet, and he is now only exiting the final corner. I believe he'll have a puncture. He's now entering the pit lane. This is your race leader, Kirill Kutskov. So he is already on the final lap of the race. Terrible bad luck for Simon Schranz to drop out of contention on the penultimate lap of the race. But it is Kirill Kutskov. 2 victories to his name so far, and he is about to make it 3 in the 3rd race in Brno. Kirill Kutskov making it around the final corner. Kirill Kutskov takes the victory in race number 3 in Brno. Oscar Verds across the line, the championship leader, somewhat still confirming his position at the helm of the standings. Still managing a healthy lead over his competition. It has been reduced this weekend, but he has to regain the pace for the final round that will happen, that will take place on his home track in Salzburgring, and he is still the one closest to the crown. Miroslav Mikeš coming home 3rd, scoring a home podium in the last race of the weekend. Max Karhan comes across the line in 4th from Johan Sikond. Another great race by the young Australian, scoring a top 5 finish and being the fastest girl in the race. Nathaniel Berebe in 6th from Michalina Sabai. Marek Michik in P8 from Kornelia Olkutská. and František Němec. Simon Schranz ending up in the pit lane, a lap down due to the trouble that he somehow collected in his fight with Nathaniel Bereby. We don't really know what happened. I would assume a puncture, as he just cut across the track right in front of Nathaniel Bereby, and maybe he just drove over his front wing. That's the only thing I can work out. Kirill Kutskov scoring a third victory of the season, with Oscar Wirtz and Miroslav Mikeš completing the podium in this race. Kirill Kutskov victorious in the final race of the weekend here in Brno from Oscar Wirtz and Miroslav Mikeš. Max Karhan in fourth from Johan Sikont, Nathaniel Bereby, Michalina Sabaj, Marek Mičík, Kornelia Olkucka and František Němec completing the results, with Simon Schranz the only driver not to actually make it across the line with that final lap, or penultimate lap issue that forced him back into the pits. And that is the end of the weekend here in Brno. In the beginning of September, Masaryk racing days have come to their conclusion, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful weekend with a lots of big spectator attendance, and of course with a great weather as well. It's been a pleasure. My name is Pavel Fabry. I was your commentator for the weekend. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you very much for watching. Formula 4 and TCR are still expecting another round in 2 weeks' time in Austria at the Salzburg Ring for the other championships. This is already it. So thank you very much for being with us. And from Brno, it is from the entire crew, a very warm goodbye.